Our guarantee only at Midas. Sunday night football. Oh, baby, is this juicy coming up this week between the Lions and the Eagles. Could it be an NFC Championship preview? Maybe, possibly, hypothetically. 6-3 Lions at the 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles. Storylines galore just based on this week alone. The Dan Campbell change where he's now calling plays. And obviously, 1-for-1 in that last week. You've got all of the A.J. Brown comments about the Eagles offense and whether or not they're ever going to get clicking here in Philly in terms of what he expects them to be. So we got storylines galore. Is this Eagles team going to look different on Sunday night? Do we feel like their offense is going to look different because of everything that's happened this week? And is their game plan going to be altered?
I mean, I think there's the potential for it, right? We saw this pattern with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts in the passing game. Every time that people outside of the building are critical of the production from A.J. Brown, every time he gives validity to those criticisms, it feels like the Philadelphia Eagles go out of their way to make sure he gets fed. We saw it last year, the Carolina Panthers game. I think they had less than 100 yards passing in the game in total. The next game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they come out and boat race them, and it's the aerial attack featuring Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. This year, they lose on Thursday Night Football to the New York Football Giants. It wasn't the best performance. They certainly didn't cover themselves in glory in that game. The next game, they come out and they feed A.J. Brown. They feed Devontae Smith on their way to throwing for over 300 yards and scoring 28 points. So it feels like that's the pattern that this team falls into. So I would suspect that based on where we're at with A.J. Brown and his frustration, coupled with the fact that you're going up against an opponent that's banged up on the back end in the Detroit Lions, it sets up for them to have a big day throwing the football. So that's what it feels like on paper, but the game is played on grass, so we'll have to see on Sunday night.
I am fascinated to see how they attack this Lions defense this weekend, because on one hand, you have the thought process of, okay, A.J. Brown is airing out his... Why are you giving me the look?
I'm waiting for something. I can feel it.
You can feel it.
He feels the word of the day coming on.
Okay.
You're telegraphing it.
I was looking at the schedule here to make sure that they had won 3 games in a row. You can see it. 3 games in a row.
You're telegraphing
it. Looking at ESPN.com doesn't mean you don't have the word of the day.
You're telegraphing it.
Well, I was going to drop it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Might want to keep it in the chamber. Wait for later in the show.
But it applies to this.
She can't even fix the thoughts anymore.
Man, I didn't even have to say it, and you snipped it out. I was going to say I'm very fascinated to see what happens here, because one school of thought is, do we reward A.J. Brown by feeding him, even though we're upset that he's airing out our issues in the locker room publicly? Or do we view what he's saying and take a look at the numbers and say maybe it's a minatory message? Maybe it's a warning. Minatory expresses or conveys a threat. And CeCe went through it beautifully yesterday, where he looked at some of the numbers and said this could be a warning sign for the Philadelphia Eagles and their offense, that if they don't do what A.J. Brown is suggesting and feed him more, if they don't make some alterations and get more productive, that it won't be sustainable for them long term.
Yeah, I have paid attention to this the way that you guys have. And the last time this happened recently, even though they won, I was very bothered by how much they just targeted the one guy. Because I think, like, you guys come in here this morning, rightfully so, and you're gushing over Drake May, right? And while Drake May hit Steph Diggs a lot, CeCe said the best throw was to Mac Hollins, who's not even in there to catch passes. He's in there to block, and just, I mean, what a wonderful guy, by the way, on so many of the things that he does. But
love the way Mac Hollins plays. Love who he is off the field.
100%.
Yeah.
And I used to think he stunk back in the day. He's a Patriot. I thought he was terrible back in the day. No, I was so wrong about him.
He's a Patriot.
He signed him to a 10-year deal right now.
He just fits.
Like, he just fits. But the point that I'm making is, Drake May, you know what he did? He hit whoever was open. You know what Jared Goff's going to do on Sunday night with all of the amazing weapons that he has, from Jameson Williams to Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jahmyr Gibbs to Laporta? Hit whoever's open. I think that A.J. Brown forces Jalen Hurts to hit him and then decide who is ever open. And I just don't believe, CeCe, you know better than I would, I don't believe that's how an offense should run. I believe that You should hit who's open based on what the defense gives you, not based on I have to look for 11. And that's what would scare me if I'm an Eagles fan. And not that 11's not unbelievable. Hall of Fame level talent. Hall of Fame level production at some point, at different points in his career. So maybe you could say, good, he should be forcing the ball to A.J. Brown. I just don't know that that's how you should operate. And that's what I would be nervous about if I'm Cam, if I'm Pat, our Eagles fans on our show, is that am I going to see Jalen Hurts, who's risk averse, force the ball? And does that help the team? And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, here's the other part of the game that we have to consider. What's the best way to beat the Detroit Lions? Because if your offense wants to get in a track meet with them people, good luck. To me, it's about controlling the complexion of the game. And that's why you have to be able to run the football. But if you commit to being a drop-back passing outfit, you take away some of the aggressiveness from your offensive line that's already banged up. You put those guys on their heels. All of a sudden, you play into the strength to a degree of the Detroit Lions defense, which is that front led by Aiden Hutchinson, which has been getting after it, top 5 in sacks on the season. I just don't know that you want to do that and lengthen the game in that way to give Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions offense that is now being called by Dan Campbell an opportunity to match points with you.
You just said something very interesting. Story of the week in the NFL, one of them, however you want to power rank them, definitively top 2 or 3 is A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is he may be right, but not for this week.
Yes. Not this week.
So does that meaning the opponent is so good and has so much firepower that if you throw too much, you're actually going to potentially give them more opportunities to throw against you.
Detroit going to score.
Right. So keep them off the field.
Detroit going to score.
So keep them off the field.
Exactly.
So how do you do that?
Well, I mean,
you don't give the ball to A.J. Brown.
Here's the thing. You ideally be able to get stops defensively, be able to get takeaways. But the Philadelphia Eagles don't major in that, even though they had 2 on Monday night. They're 20th in turnovers this year in terms of taking the ball away. The Detroit Lions, they do a pretty good job at being able to protect the football. They only have 6 giveaways all year. So, to me, the best way to defend the Detroit Lions offense is to not let them touch the field. But, again, you're trying to satisfy A.J. Brown, who wants the football, so you're going to be in a posture of trying to throw. I think it's a really tough spot for Nick Sirianni and for Jalen Hurts, particularly. This is a very big game. We know the implications around it, being able to compete for the number 1 seed, all of the things. But I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles are best served making sure that they have a balanced attack and majoring in that run game behind Saquon Barkley. I just don't know that that's going to be possible when A.J. Brown has expressed his frustration so vocally.
Coming up, before the season, 2 teams that many picked to go to the Super Bowl, some against each other. Now with more questions and answers. We will get to that next. We're on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance.
The NBA on ESPN Radio.
Here's Curry the other way. 3-on-3, pull-up triple, good.
Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors head to San Antonio.